Hello and welcome back to the Robo Samurai channel. Today I'm going to be bringing you a review of the Transformers Legacy Laser Optimus Prime. So, yeah, he comes packaged just like this. Well, kind of like this. Let's take a look at his box. His box is very cool. It shows him, like, armed with, his missile things firing and all that. That's pretty cool. He's a leader class. Here's all the stuff on the side. Very cool. The stuff on the back, which is also cool. This is the QR code that shows off his tech specs and his bio. I will put a link to this in the description below, or you can just scan this here. So that's cool too. There's the top of the box, and then there is no window on this packaging. That's the way these things are, and this is made out of coagulated cardboard. And that's what we got going on there. So here's what he looks like. And yeah, he's pretty cool looking. He is a little different. Now, I just recently reviewed the Laser Optimus Prime, and it has a similar kind of a paint scheme, except for a couple of key differences here. You can see it rolls pretty well. There is a... if you look here, it's got a peg right here that fits right into there, and it rotates and turns just like a real truck. Yeah, it's pretty neat stuff. So, and he has the flames here, which is definitely different from the original G2 version. And let me kind of show you that. If you haven't seen my other review, we'll do a side-by-side comparison of these two and take a look. Now, this is how the G2 originally looked here. You can see it actually has the G2 Autobot symbol on it, and a couple of other places. But it also has, the whole, these things are painted. They're not painted here, but you can paint them yourself, I suppose. But the most important thing here, I just want to point out that these flames were not there on the original G2. So, but you can kind of take a look and see all the things that they did get very similar. Nope, doesn't have the lights. So yeah, that's a little different there. So, but yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyway, off you go. Off you go. And so, yep. So he's got a lot of wheels. Yeah, and the regular Autobot symbol and little step here and all that. Lots of nice detail. Let's take this thing off here, and then what you can do for this is that they did retain some of the same details that you see on the G2. You can see like some of the similarities that these have. The red, that big pipe that goes down that center, and then all of the little details that they added there. So they did a pretty job of trying to match it up to his G2 self and trailer at the very least. You can flip this down. Whoops, without taking that off. Hopefully that doesn't pop off again. You can just flip this down like so, and then it'll hold that in that position there. So let me lower the camera just a touch. There we go. But let's take a look real quick at the rest of the details on here. Let's get it focused. There we go. Yeah, pretty nice job they did with this. I'd have to say it looks really cool. It's neat. And yeah, there's no big thing that says Optimus Prime on it or anything like that. It's just it. And there isn't any launchable discs or anything like that on here. And that's what the bottom looks like. Kind of showed you that a little bit already. And here's what the front of the trailer looks like. Not too much different. So one thing that you can do is you can take this off here. This thing, they made it so if you look, there's like an indent. And then this thing comes out and can be held as a weapon. You can also shove it up there like that, I guess. Hey, cool. But yeah, it can be held as a weapon by Optimus Prime. Or you can just keep it here, or you can stick it to, all the peg ports that you want, I guess. Does that fit there? Let's see. It's supposed to, but it doesn't really. No, it does. So if you want to do things like that, you can. So nice to have that little option available. So We'll show off a little bit more of this in a second. Let's take a quick look at the cab itself and the truck. And yeah, you can see it's got a lot of neat detail. And it's got like this, what is this? This faux sleeper area back here. You know, let me get that focused. Okay, let's try it again. Yep, right there. Okay, so you can see it all the cool detail. And like I said, the flames are like a different edition here, but that's okay. It still looks pretty nice. You can see the top, and on the bottom you can see there is actually weapon storage here. So just like the original, you can store the sword right here underneath his legs. So that's what this is all about here. And there's 2 tabs here, and they tab into 2 slots underneath there and just peg in nicely. And you can see all the other end of details here. So let's take a real close look at the other accessories he comes with, because I kind of went over the gun. And then here's the sword. And the sword, when I got it, it was actually curved quite a bit, bent. So I used a heat gun and I kind of straightened it out. And it was very gentle. Nothing really bad happened though with it. So I was able to take care of it. So if you use a hairdryer or a heat gun to straighten this out, just, you know, beware. But it turned out pretty nicely. It's a nice clear color and all of that. Another accessory it comes with is this thing here. And this is like an axe. It's a weird axe, but it's an axe. So, and it has this foldable handle. It kind of reminds me of like the one we got with the Siege Prime, this handle right here. Excuse me. But yeah, so it's made out of this clear plastic and everything else there. So, and one thing you can do for storage on this is that there are 2 slots here. There's 2 slots in the top here, and then there's 2 pegs. You can supposed to be able to just peg these in either this way, yeah, like that. And it kind of looks like, excuse me, it kind of looks like something you would mount the trailer to. However, that's not how this works. You can't even mount it afterwards. It just doesn't sit proper. So yeah, there's that. I'm gonna go ahead and stand this back up. All right, so but it's kind of neat. If you wanted to have them just in cab and truck mode and you wanted to just put that on there, you could. So technically you can store this here, you can store this under here, and yeah, you'd be good to go with your accessories. So very cool stuff. I'm going to go ahead and set this aside. Let's take a look at his big accessory, which is this trailer. Now, this trailer is very much, like I said, a lot like the original trailer. It has a lot of this similar sculpted detail. Does not say Optimus Prime on it. Oh, I'm sure they'll make a repro label for it if you really want it. So, but yeah, so, and it does have a transformation into a base mode, which is very similar to its G2 counterpart. So let's take a look at that. So the first thing we want to do is we will take this, and I believe we just kind of unpack that and then open that up a little bit. And then we're going to split the sides, one here and one here. And we drop down this ramp here, and then we take this, and I believe we open this up a little bit. Actually, what you want to do is turn this around. This thing is on a ball peg, if you can see that, and then turn it like this. And I believe we're supposed to fold this down. So this piece here folds down so that the guns are right there. And then this comes out like this. And actually, if we do it like this, yep, nope, it was always like this. So do this, and then you unfold this here, which is the trailer peg. You have the little arm there, and then you make sure that this is nice and straight like that. And essentially, this is it. This is the, I guess, base mode. You know, so this is kind of what it looks like. And yeah, it's not too bad. Again, there's a few things in here where, you know, you can take the sword, and you can store it in here, and then the axe, and you can also store it in here. And there you can see there's spots like right here. There's the 2 slots right here, and you have the 2 tabs, and you can just plug that into there. And then this can also be plugged in into, so these two, they can plug into this area, either on either side, I should add. So yeah, they can kind of store in there. And I think they'll store in this way. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't tried to collapse this yet. But so these can rotate up here. And this can also rotate, and you can take it off completely. Not entirely sure what the purpose of that would be, but if you feel like having him, I guess, if this is a 5mm peg, he can hold it in his hand, but there's no point to doing that, unless you really want to go all out. Okay, so there it is there. So there's what it looks like. Now let's go ahead and set that aside. And let's take a look at Optimus Prime himself, or Laser Optimus Prime. So yeah, he's, like I said, we did look at this already, so maybe what we want to do is transform it. But this is a pretty interesting little transformation they came up with. So let's go on ahead and do that. Okay, so first thing we want to do is these panels right here, we're going to flip them up. Just like that. And do you see these here, these canisters? Do they look familiar? Yeah, they are. They're basically similar to what you saw on the other Optimus Primes. Close them in. And they'll tab into each other right there. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to lift these arms. So that if you look, these arms are kind of, they're a little bit slotted in. So what I do is I pull these up a little bit like this. And do that. And now we're going to take this whole leg section and pull it down here. And then we're going to flip this whole thing out. So grab it by the crotch, and then it'll take this entire panel with it. Okay. And then just to complete it, rotate it right there along the waist. And then we're going to open up the feet. And then we're going to split this apart. And there we go. We got the bottom part all done. Let's do now this part here and what you want to do. And here's what I usually do. I don't know if the instructions say this or not. I don't remember. So I take these two panels and I open them up like this. It just makes it easier to work with. And then I split the cab piece, and you'll just be splitting is a lot like this. And actually, you can see that those things tab into this here. So you can open this up. And that's kind of what we should have done in the first place. So let's reverse that step here. So these actually do tab there. And if you have everything out and open like this, you can open this up just a bit so that these untab, and then you can split these out. Okay, so we'll split those out. And then we want to move these out to the side, these shoulder pieces. And then we're going to open this up all the way this way. So, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to flip these arms outwards. So, let's flip them out like this. Let's see here. Hold on. Actually, we got to do something else before we do that. Okay, so I messed up that step. So anyway, so let's go on ahead. And now that we have this, and then we have that cab open here, we're going to take this piece right here, flip it down, and we're going to flip it all the way out. Let's see here. Flip it all the way out over here. And, oops, looks like this thing came off. This is on a friction joint. Just pop right back in there. And so this technically, okay, it should have been snapped in like this, and it was, and then it came loose. So, and then we open this up, and then we snap this in place here, and it will snap into place. So you got the whole chest piece. Now, we can now take and move these arms here out on these joints. So you've got that in there. And you want to do the same thing on this side. So we'll flip this out over here. Whoa. All right. And then I'm going to stretch these arms out so that they're like this, okay? The next thing I want to do is take Prime's head, flip it forward, and we'll snap it into place. Okay. And so the next thing I want to do is we're going to take these here panels, and I like the way this does this. We take these panels and we lift them up all the way. So remember, they were here, and now we flip them all the way up over here, and they are going to form the sides of his arms. That's pretty cool. All right, now you can close this top assembly here. See how this hinges? Right on top of that. There we go. So that'll close on top of that, and then we swing the arms around, and they'll lock into place right there. One here and one there. And then I still like to stretch these arms out. I'm not done with them yet. So now we're going to take the chest piece, and it's going to tab into those slots there, these tabs. Snap that onto place. There we go. And then make sure your prime head is snapped in properly. There we go. Now, when it comes to the cab here, there's this little panel right here. Make sure this is flipped out all the way like that. And then go on ahead and close this and collapse it back. And those will tab back into here. These clear tabs will tab right into those slots. So go on ahead and do that. There we go. Now, the last pieces we're going to do are going to be, okay, first of all, flip these down. And then we're going to take these arms here, swing them down, and then we're going to rotate them around here on the bicep joint so that they're facing the correct direction. Do the same thing on the other side. Okay, down, and then rotate it around. Okay. Now, we're going to take these here, and we're going to collapse them down like so. So these are on a double joint, and I just take it and drop this down and make sure it lines up like that. Then you can close these panels up. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the arms here, and we're going to flip out the wrists. Here's one wrist, and then close it back. And then make sure the wrist is rotated in the correct direction. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. So flip out the wrist, and close it back up. Whoops, come back here. And there we go. Okay. So now, well, that's pretty much it. I believe we've got everything done here. So here is Laser Optimus Prime in his robot mode. And yeah, he looks pretty good. There are a few things that I would like to point out here, though, that are kind of noteworthy, let's say. But before I do that, let me go on ahead and let's get out Laser Optimus Prime G2 version. We can do some side-by-side comparisons. It's actually so easy to transform this thing. It's almost like, oh yeah, hey. So one thing right off the top that I wanted to point out is that it feels like that these eyes are a little bit dead. Now, if you can see the eyes, I'm going to light them up a bit here. There they are. They need paint because they're pretty dark, and I'm shining a flashlight in there just to show you what their eyes look like. And there is a little tiny bit of light piping there. Now you can kind of see it, but if there's nothing, yeah, I think it's not even meant to be light piping, because if you look at the back of his head here, there isn't any light piping area here. It's just the light that's pouring. You know, I'm just hitting it with the back of this so that you can kind of see it. So that to me, yeah, I'm probably going to wind up painting this. Unfortunately, this is not an easy head to remove. And that's kind of a little tiny drawback. So, as for his legs have all the same articulation that you find in the Earthrise Optimus Prime. In fact, they are the same part. If you take a look here, for the most part, these here, these waist areas are the same, and you have these thighs. They're the same. These are kind of the same. This has been remolded to match more of its G2 counterpart. And what do I mean by that? And if you take a look at his G2 counterpart, you can see it has this extra detail here that's got like a little rectangle that points down and stuff like that. And they tried to replicate a little bit of that here, you know, to try to make it look similar. So kudos to them for doing that. He's got the whole, how should we say, double ear thing going on. That's pretty cool. And that was something that we saw in the original G2 as well. So we've got like that whole double ear thing going on here. I guess you want to call it a double ear. It looks cool. You don't see it in the Earthrise Optimus Prime. Not really. Okay, so another thing that's kind of cool is that he has a matrix, and that is nice little... That's the next accessory. So you could just grab this, open that up, and this does come out, but it's pretty tight. So let's see if I can't get that out so I can show you guys what it looks like. There it is right there. So... yeah, pretty cool. It's, you know, it's a little matrix. I mean, what's Optimus Prime without his matrix, right? So, yeah, I think that's a nice little touch. We're going to put that back in there and snap that closed. So, yeah, so there's articulation. When you're talking about his waist, he does have the whole swivel here. You can do the splits this way, and you can do them that way. Just like the Earthrise Prime over here can do it. As for his arms have that much articulation. Like, you can move this out of the way and get it a little bit more, but this does not rotate at all. It goes backwards like this. He does have the bicep swivel. He has the 90-degree elbow, and his wrist swivel. So, yeah, pretty cool stuff. But yeah, because of these here, they don't actually do anything else. They can't like go beyond these areas here. So a little bit of a bummer, but not too bad. Yeah, so that's kind of what we got there with this. Just to show you on the G2 Optimus Prime, they couldn't go all the way around either, but he took his entire shoulder with him. So they gave him, you know, about that much articulation and that much articulation on that joint there. So, and you can see here, like, he had a light piping effect too, but it was white. They did nothing with that. I don't know if the US version did it, but what's kind of also cool is that if you look here, these the Matrix sticker looks a lot like this sticker here. And if you look at these, this is what the G2 had as well. You know, outside of the G2 Optimus, the G2 Autobot logo, it's kind of similar, you know, not exactly the same, but they tried to retain some of that. They tried to mold in some of the details that you see on this one here. So, pretty nice. Pretty nice. So, now he does have, of course, the things that we talked about before. He has his axe, and his axe he can just hold in his hand, thusly. And then he has the sword. Of course, the sword looks very cool. Now, the sword has a little notch in it, so it's kind of hard to see, but it's got a notch in it. So if you want to have Optimus Prime hold it properly, you've got to make sure the notch is actually facing through that you take it through this this gap on his wrist. Otherwise, you won't be able to drop it in there. It has to go in this way. So, yeah. And then if you're really kind of cool, if you really want to do this in another cool way, is you can combine these weapons. Yeah, that's right. So you can take this and you can drop the sword right into it. And then he has super uber like sword, and that's pretty cool. I like that. That's really nice. So, and of course he has his little base mode. Let's get Earthrise out of the way. And he can, you know, I guess, man the base mode. So yeah, there's that. All in all, yeah, it's pretty cool. Whoa, things just flying around here today. Ooh, down. There we go. But I prefer him with this regular sword right here. And then, you know, he's got great posability. and I think he looks fantastic. And there is one more thing. So you can open these. And underneath these here, you'll see that there's an array of 6 missiles. They're all cast in that they're cast in that clear plastic, and yeah, it's kind of cool. You know, he's got these 2 on the front, and they snap in, and then he has these. So, yeah, by the way, if you're wondering, the head does articulate. It's kind of hard to turn all the way around, but it can be done. When you do it. It kind of flips the head off a little bit. So I tend not to do too much with his head there. I'll probably be taking it off so I can paint those eyes, though. You know, that would be cool. Anyway, so there you have it. This is it. And what do I think of this figure? I think it's a really good figure. If you've never had a chance to collect the Laser Optimus Prime in his G2 form, I think this is a great substitute. I think this actually works really well for me, and I'm proud to have it in my collection. It's got, you know, part of the engineering of this guy, so that's a plus. I think that overall it looks good. I like the way that the trailer looks. I like the way the accessories are. Outside of the fact that I had to kind of take care of the sword here, but you know, he's a really decent figure and a great leader class. So that's what we got going on. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. It doesn't cost anything. And I'll talk to you guys next time. See ya.